All right, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to another Fix Your Gut live stream. I'm your host, John Brisson. This evening, we're going to be discussing the Centrum multivitamin and how it's actually better for you to not take it for your health than it is actually to take the multivitamin. Many people take multivitamins to hopefully correct nutritional deficiencies and vitamins and minerals that they may have, kind of like a supplement to their diet. And when you look at the ingredients of Centrum, both in the additives that are included in the final product of manufacturing for the vitamin, multi-mineral supplement Centrum itself, and the issues associated with some of the additives that they decided to go with, or with some of the supplement choices that they decided to go with for the vitamins or chelations to the minerals themselves, of how they're insufficient. So here we have the ingredient listing for Centrum Adults, which is marketed by Pfizer. You have calcium carbonate. Of course, calcium carbonate is one of the poor absorbed forms of calcium. Granted, there is not much calcium inside of the supplement. There's only 200 milligrams. So that's an issue. And it'll work as an antacid. That's what Tums is made out of. And the calcium carbonate, since it's poorly absorbed, and there's not a lot of magnesium in the supplement at 50 milligrams. It happens to be magnesium, I think oxide. Let me look. Then it's going to be poorly absorbed. Yeah, magnesium oxide is going to be poorly absorbed. And so some of that calcium, if you don't have adequate levels of magnesium in your bloodstream, or vitamin K2 or vitamin D, the excess calcium, if you have a lot of arterial inflammation, maybe from high blood pressure, can speed up arterial calcification of the arteries. Sorry, I misspoke. So, calcium carbonate's not a good form of calcium. You want a better absorbable form of calcium, like calcium hydroxypitate, or bare minimum calcium citrate, calcium malate. So yeah, not a good form of calcium. You have calcium phosphate for the phosphorus. You have magnesium oxide, which is the poorest absorbed form of magnesium. Here we have a study from 1994. The bioavailability of magnesium diglycinate versus magnesium oxides in patients with ilia resection. Of course, the ileum is the distal part of the small intestine, so they don't have their ileum. So if you look at the study, they claim that most patients, the magnesium chelate had a slight advantage over the magnesium oxide. However, in 4 patients who had the greatest impairment of magnesium absorption, and many people have, gut dysbiosis, gut issues, they're not able to absorb magnesium very well. There might be polymorphisms to genes for magnesium absorption and magnesium transportation. So there was a difference between the glycinate chelate of 23.5 and 11.8. So let's see here. Cellulose, which is plant matter, it's fine. Ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. Various fumarate, which is iron. DL-alpha tofurlyl acetate, which is synthetic vitamin E. Natural vitamin E is D-alpha tofurlyl acetate, or any of the acetate, gamma. Or should I say D-gamma tofurlyl acetate instead of D-alpha. There's different, lack of better words, forms of vitamin E. You have alpha, you have gamma. But it's the L. If you see the L isomer next to the D, then it means that it is synthetically produced. And there have been some issues raised with synthetic vitamin E, and that if you look at the studies where vitamin E causes prostate cancer in males, the majority of the forms that were used in the studies was DL alpha tocopherol or DL alpha tocopherol acetate. So, and there is one or two studies where they used synthetic vitamin E, but they combined it with selenium, and selenium is it's been studied for prostate cancer. So it could have been just the selenium. When it was combined with the synthetic vitamin E, it was a selenium that canceled out any carcinogenic properties that the vitamin E, synthetic vitamin E may have had. And then, so right, evidence today is insufficient to support taking vitamin E to prevent cancer. In fact, daily use of large dose vitamin E supplements, 400 IUs of synthetic vitamin E, 180 milligrams, may increase the risk of prostate cancers. Right here. This is on the National Institute of Health part about vitamin E. So, yeah, they have, if you're male and you take Centrum, that DL alpha tocopherol acetate could increase your risk of prostate cancer. Granted, there's not a lot of vitamin E in there, but I wouldn't take that risk. You have maltodextrin, and they claim that all of the quote-unquote genetically modified ingredients, usually maltodextrin comes from corn, they claim that the Centrum vitamin is GMO, no GMO certified. Okay? But there's a lot of genetically modified products that would be used in this multivitamin. So, that's okay, weird. I doubt they use non-GMO GM maltodextrin. I doubt they use non-GM cornstarch. But when they tested it for GM, genetically modified DNA or an RNA, they quote-unquote claimed they didn't find any. So you have beta-carotene instead of retinol. Beta-carotene is generally found in carrots. It is a plant-based form of vitamin A. And in many people without beta-carotene, what is it? Beta-carotene gene, what is it? I should know the full. It's like BCM. No, BCO. Beta-carotene oxygenase 1. And there's different beta-carotene oxygenase genes in the human body. You have 1 and 2. And so if you have a polymorphism or a mutation in those genes, you won't convert beta-carotene into retinol and retinal for your proper health. So you have to supplement with either an animal source of vitamin A for retinol, like cod liver oil or beef liver, or use vitamin A palmitate. So, yeah, there's a very much inferior form of vitamin A in the Centrum that you're not even going to absorb very well in the form of beta-carotene. You have the preservative BHT, which BHT in natural medicine does have its usage. It's sold as a supplement to reduce herpes viridae outbreaks. So I'm not necessarily against its use. So as far as a preservative, compared to the other additives in this product, it's relatively benign. You got the B vitamin biotin. You got the B vitamin pantothenic acid, which is chelated to calcium. You have vitamin D3, which is cholecalciferol. Chromium, which is actually chelated to piclinate or piclinic acid, which is a better form of chromium. Copper sulfate chelated to sulfur. You have, they claim it's not non-GM cornstarch, but I beg to differ. You have the additive cross-povidone, which cross-povidone has been linked to, and the povidone compounds have been linked to anaphylaxis. So some people might have allergic reaction to cross-povidone, and trigger anaphylactic shock. It's rare, but it can happen, or itching or hives. So be aware of that. You have the inferior form of vitamin B12 with this cyanocobalamin, which is cobalt, or cobalamin, which is where B12 comes from, is a mineral cobalt, chelated to cyanide, where it's very, very, very cheap. And the other forms of vitamin B12 are methylcobalamin, where cobalamin is attached to a methyl group or a methyl donor, which the methylcobalamin's usage is very good for people who are under methylators. If you want to learn more about the methylation cycle, look into the work of Dr. Ben Lynch and Dr. Amy Yasko. And then you have adenosylcobalamin, which is the B12 that is used within the mitochondria, is very good for energy production. And you have hydroxycobalamin, which is a combination of methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. So there's 4 different types of vitamin B12. They use the cheapest form, which is cyanocobalamin. And cyanocobalamin, we'll read this part. Most multivitamins and B complex formulas available in the market contain B12 in the form of methylcobalamin because it's the least costly form of natural B12 at this time. See, they put natural because it exists in nature. With cyanocobalamin, really doesn't. No reason exists to use other forms of B12 for supporting foundation and needs of B12 because the majority of individuals are likely able to metabolize it properly. And not necessarily. You can have some people with catch-all methyltransferase gene polymorphisms, and people with vitamin D receptors or VDR polymorphisms that can't tolerate methylcobalamin because they might be overmethylators. And so instead you have to give them hydroxycobalamin or adenosylcobalamin. But later they discuss that in the 3rd paragraph. Often the clinical picture warrants B12 supplementation in addition to food and to foundation supplementation with complex B vitamins. For that purpose, relatively high doses of B12 in the vicinity of 1 to 3 milligrams per day can be used for 2 major goals. 1, to take advantage of absorption by diffusion, bypassing the need for intrinsic factors. Supplementing with high doses of methylcobalamin may work well in many individuals and is most cost-effective naturally occurring form of supplemental B12. And 2, the cause of upregulation of some genetically impaired enzymes involved in B12 metabolism is in the case with many vitamin cofactors. Support binding to various B12 cell receptors in the gut or other cells, or to encourage the binding B12 transport proteins in the gut or in the blood. I need to do a stream about B12 and how sometimes you don't want to supplement large doses, especially if you have gut dysbiosis, because microorganisms in the gut like ingesting that B12, so it can go to them instead of to you. But I'll do a stream on B12 eventually. Based on the considerations discussed in the current article, it's possible that individuals with particular SNPs, which would be those genetic polymorphisms I mentioned earlier, affecting B12 assimilation might raise their B12 status more efficiently with one or more particular forms of B12. See, it depends on the person. And actually, Amy Yasko, I guess I can go ahead and bring it up now. She has a chart. You know your genes. I'm gonna bring it up. I'll show it to you guys. What the? Oh, I didn't mean to bring up povidone. So here you have the chart. So if you know your catch-all methyltransferase V158M polymorphism, this is no mutation, this is heterozygous mutation or polymorphism, and this is a homozygous mutation or polymorphism. Here you have VDR TAC, which is the vitamin D receptor TAC gene, and then you have, so if you know which one you are, because plus is always homozygous, plus minus is always heterozygous, and minus is always no mutation. So for someone with no mutation in COMT, but a full mutation in VDR TAC, they can support all 3 types of B12. But someone with plus COMT polymorphism and no polymorphism in VDR TAC can take mostly hydroxy B12 as the best form of B12 for them. So it depends. Like that study says, it depends. All right. However, because those types of SNPs are not currently reported in commercial tests, individuals may require either a trial and error approach by supplementing with one particular form of B12 at a time, or they may simply use a supplement with a combination of all three natural occurring forms of B12. So that would be adenosylcobalamin, methylcobalamin, and hydroxycobalamin. They are commercially available for a better chance of achieving faster clinical results. So we know that cyanocobalamin is garbage, and it also gives you a little bit of cyanide, which they'll claim, well, it's got a hormetic effect to it, and it's like, yeah, okay, really? So next we have folic acid. Of course, you know, folic acid doesn't seem to work very well in people with undermethylation. People with MTHFR and MTR genetic polymorphisms don't do well to the ingestion of folic acid. Instead, they require calcium folinate or L-methyl tetrahydrofolinate, actual folate instead of folic acid. Synthetic folic acid is lacking the body's most fundamental biochemical compound, a methyl group. So there's a difference between folic acid, which is pyroglutamic acid, and folate. It's that methyl group, that methyl donor. So most people who are undermethylators, giving them folic acid will not correct their undermethylation. Instead, you have to give them folate. So then you have gelatin. It's fine. Magnesium stearate's okay. It's just stearic acid, which is a fatty acid bonded to magnesium. Manganese sulfate, modified cornstarch, they claim is non-GM. Niacinamide, phytididone, which is vitamin K1. Now, vitamin K1 has to be converted to vitamin K2, which is what the body actually uses. Most of the time, you get vitamin K1 from plants. And, you know, for some people with issues with conversion, they either have issues with absorption in their intestinal tract or conversion because they have polymorphisms in the genes that convert vitamin K1 to vitamin K2 in the human body. Usually you don't want to take vitamin K1. You want to take vitamin K2 instead, either MK4 or MK7. Both have their different half-lives in the human body, and people argue which one's the better form. Usually you want a supplement that has two if all possible, both MK4 and MK7 if you're looking for vitamin K. At one time, it says I must have exited out the, let me see, vitamin K 3 toxicity. Here we go. So they pulled vitamin K3 off the market. It doesn't exist anymore. They're trying to make a synthetic version of vitamin K3, or vitamin K, because vitamin K1 and 2 are natural, and vitamin K3 is synthetic. And vitamin K is absorbed in your small intestine, in the gingium and the ileum. So people with SIBO have issues, usually with gut dysbiosis, because the lining of the small intestine becomes inflamed and the receptor sites become damaged through inflammation. You generally have poor absorption of vitamins and minerals, and vitamin K being one. Also, if you eat a diet that's low in fat, since vitamin K is fat soluble, especially vitamin K2, you may be vitamin K deficient. Alright, so let me see. I'm going to look up vitamin K3. I think I have to search for liver. Here we go. A synthetic form of vitamin K, minidone, which is vitamin K3, has been associated with liver damage and therefore is no longer used therapeutically. So, yeah, they had to withdraw it. So here we have polyethylene glycol. Of course, polyethylene glycol, which is used in Miralax. And I have numerous, I actually need to do a stream on Miralax. My issues with using it as an osmotic laxative. But polyethylene glycol, among other things, has been listed to cause anaphylaxis, or anaphylactic shocks, hives, allergies, just as much as, if not more, definitely I would say more cases of it causing anaphylaxis and hives and itching, kind of your allergic reactions. and that can be more personified in people who are histamine intolerant than povidone. So yeah, polyethylene glycol you gotta be careful with. Polyvinyl alcohol it's not as bad as the other additives I've mentioned. Potassium iodide, which is form of iodine. Peroxidine hydrochloride, which is vitamin B6. Riboflavin, which is vitamin B2. Silicon dioxide, which is harmless. It's inert. Sodium ascorbate, so vitamin C, but the buffered form. So they're using it as a preservative. When they already have some vitamin C in there, it's pretty funny. Sodium molybdenate, which is molybdenum. Sodium selenate, which is selenium. Talc. So problem with talc is that some talc is, unless it's been tested or you got food grade talc, and you got cosmetic grade talc, and you got talc that's been tested for asbestos under universal service protocols. This Consumer Lab article mentions, well, we really don't know if the talc that's used in Centrum Silver might cause cancer because it has is asbestos, because you don't know if the talc they're using is USB grade. And in the comment section, they also mention about the amount of talc in the tablet could be 1 to 10% talc. The maximum amount of talc being 10%. Maximum amount of lead allowed in talc is 10 parts per million. The tablet could potentially contain up to 0.5 micrograms of lead, which is the maximum limit allowed in California. So you're getting a good dose of lead, a good dose of asbestos when you're taking your Centrum. Who knows? Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, I don't trust Merck enough to really give a damn. Pardon my French. So you have thiamine mononitrate, which is vitamin B1, and you have titanium dioxide. And there's been questions about titanium dioxide using in our everyday life, because titanium dioxide nanoparticles have been labeled as possible carcinogen to humans. So titanium dioxide, even though it's used in food, it's used in supplements. There have been multiple studies, and even though it's FDA approved for inactive ingredients guides, there are concerns about its use of titanium dioxide, especially the nanoparticles being used in sunscreen. That's why when I buy sunscreen, it's titanium dioxide free. Or if I buy it for my family, I don't wear sunscreen. But if they want to wear it, I make sure that it's nano titanium dioxide free and use zinc oxide instead. So, yeah, titanium dioxide could be a problem. Then you have actually, you do have a little bit of vitamin A acetate. I stand corrected. 30% of it's beta-carotene, though, and that's still not a lot of vitamin A. Yellow 6 Lake, which there's issues with rainbow food dyes and the causing of cancer and the causes of allergic reactions and the cause of even hyperactivity in children. So, I mean, even though this is an adult multivitamin, do you really want to ingest synthetic dyes? Especially the risks. There have been some synthetic dyes have been pulled, that may contribute to cancer. So they talk about yellow 5 and yellow 6 are tainted with low levels of cancer-causing compounds, including benzidine and 4-amino-biphenols in yellow 5. However, the levels could be far actually higher because in 1990, the FDA and Health Canada found 100 times as much benzidine in a bound form that is released in the colon but not detected in the routine tests of purity conducted by the FDA. This is an excellent article from the Center for Science of Public Interest about food dyes and the rainbow risks, cancers, hyperactivity, and allergic reactions associated with many of the dyes, including yellow 5 and yellow 6, which is used in Centrum. And then you have zinc oxide, which is just zinc chelated to oxide, poorly absorbed. So yeah, Centrum is garbage. It's actually better for you just to chuck it in the trash can, to not take it at all, than to take it. You probably will get more valuable nutrients and less harm even following the horrible standard American diet than you ever would take this Centrum multivitamin. It's garbage. It's horrible. So let's look at a vitamin that I recommend. This is Thorn, Basic Nutrients 2 a day. Now, I'd recommend you only take 1. I wouldn't recommend you take 2. Reason being is because there's a good amount of vitamin B6 in there. which is linked to causing neuropathy if you get too much in. And even 10 milligrams, which if you cut the dosage in half, may be too much for certain people. You got to be careful if you start getting neuropathy and nerve pain after taking this multivitamin, and you want to discontinue it because it may be vitamin B6 toxicity. But for most people, 10 milligrams a day of vitamin B6, it's okay. I wish they used less. But since Thorn is such a good multivitamin, I kind of overlook it. So you got to some of the vitamin A from Beta-Carotene. You got 600 micrograms of it from palmate. You have ascorbic acid. You have vitamin D. You have natural D-alpha tofurlyl acid. You have 200 micrograms as vitamin K1 and 200 micrograms as vitamin K2, MK4. So at least they put 200 micrograms of MK4 in there. You have thiamine. You have the active form of riboflavin, which is riboflavin 5-phosphate. That is the active form compared to regular riboflavin. You have niacinamide as niacin. You have the active form of vitamin B6, which is peroxidal 5-phosphate. You have folate instead of folic acid in the form of 400 milligrams of L5-methyl tetrahydrofolate from L5-methyl tetrafolic acid and glucosamine salt. The vitamin B12 form is methylcobalamin. Your minerals are chelated. They're chelated to bisglycinate, and which is one of the most, the traces is one of the most absorbable forms of minerals. And then you have they use L-seleniumethionine, which is selenium left isomer bonded to the amino acid methionine. So it's a very highly absorbable form of selenium. A little bit too much manganese, but if you cut it in half, it's 1.5 milligrams. I'm much safer with that because too much manganese is neurotoxic, even though it's very important for production of manganese superoxidimutase, which is the enzyme that your mitochondria uses to reduce oxidative stress. Has got a little bit of another vitamin E, which is D-gamma tocopherol. A little bit of boron in there, which would be good for testosterone production. It forms boron glycinate. A little bit of lutein, which would be good for your eyes. The other ingredients included is hypromeliose, which is cellulose capsule, a little bit of dicalcium phosphate, and a little bit of calcium laurate, which would be calcium fluoric acid. So, yeah, is it perfect? No. I could probably formulate a better one. But is it beneficial in the Centrum? In most cases, as long as you don't have some weird genetic polymorphisms where you can't handle a little bit of extra vitamin B6 and causes not neurotoxicity, well, it can cause neurotoxicity, but toxicity of the nerves, neuropathy, then it should be fine. It should be fine. Now, like S90 mentioned in the chat, the B vitamins might turn your urine yellow, which is normal. You're just urinating the excess B vitamins out of it. Derived from natural flavors, derived from natural colors, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So yeah, this is what I would be considered a good multivitamin. Not perfect, but it's a lot better than the Centrum, and you actually will get a net benefit from this. I mean, if someone is a over-methylator, the folate and the vitamin B12 might be too much for them. But overall, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd give it a B+. I'd give Centrum an F. So which one are you going to take? You're going to take the B+, you're going to take the F. If you want to take a multivitamin, and most of the time I don't recommend people take multivitamins. I recommend for most people that they try to eat a healthy diet, like the Perfect Health diet, and they just supplement out of their diet what they might be lacking, like maybe some iodine if they don't eat a lot of seafood, or magnesium. Most people are magnesium deficient. Most diets are magnesium deficient. Even the most perfect diet can be magnesium deficient in our modern world because it's just, you got to eat a lot of food to get magnesium. You got to eat brown rice, and a lot of the magnesium in brown rice is bounded up to phytic acid, and avocados and nuts, and a lot of the magnesium in nuts is bonded to phytic acid and or oxalates. So it's just tough to get magnesium in. So, so people who might have certain nutrient deficiencies through diets that have to supplement individual vitamins or individual minerals. But if, some people want the convenience of a multivitamin. If you're going to take one, Thorne is one that I recommend, but I wouldn't take 2 a day. There's too much in here for 2 a day, especially if you're on a decent diet. So it's better to do 1 a day. Cheesy Puffs in the chat meant soil depletion leading to less vitamins and minerals being in plants. That is true. There is some truth to that, hands down. But, I mean, if you eat an organic diet mostly, you're doing okay if it's a healthy organic diet. Now, Tash in the chat asked about Rainbow Light. It's been a while since I've looked up Rainbow Light multivitamin. Let me take a look for you. I'll check the woman's health. And I'll check the men's health. See if there's that much of a difference. It's nice that it's non-GMO certified. I'm hoping that there's, they put cornstarch in it. All right, let's look. Okay, so the vitamin A is all beta-carotene. That's not good. Vitamin E is natural. It's D-alpha tocopherol. The folate is folic acid. That's not good. The B12 is methylcobalamin. That is good. How much B6 is in it? 20 milligrams. That's too high for 4 capsules, so you don't probably want to take 2 capsules. The chelations, you got the good form of selenium. You got seleniomethane. You're using citrate chelations, and you're actually using chelations, which isn't bad. And you have, a little bit of DIM for the women to help with estrogen metabolism. And some herbs, some bacteria, probiotic, not a lot. Brown rice concentrate and capsule for other ingredients. It's not bad. If I had to rank it, I'd probably give it a C+. Let's look at the male. The male, they just had a little bit of inositol for what? Anxiety. Yeah, male, C+ for the male. No difference. Now let's see here. Let's look at, it's been a while since I've looked at the multis. Let's go to Amazon and just look at multivitamins real quick. Look at Pure Encapsulations. They're a good brand. You've already looked at Thorne. We'll look at Designs for Health. They're a good brand. That's expensive. Good gracious. Cheesy Puffs. You wanna, I mean, it depends. You mean like take the vitamin C and the fish oil together? All right, let's look. Pure Encapsulations, 1 multivitamin, so $37. Let's see what they have right now. Most of their vitamin A is beta-carotene. It's not as good as the Thorne. Their riboflavin isn't all the riboflavin 5-phosphate. They have natural vitamin E, though. They have less vitamin B6, which is good. That's good. Folates, instead of folic acid. B12 is methylcobalamin. That's good. There's no magnesium in here. Zinc is citrate. Selenium is seleniumethione. Manganese is 2 milligrams. If you cut the thorn dosage in half, it's 1.5. Got a little bit of boron in there, a little bit of CoQ10, a little bit of alpha lipoic acid, which is fine as long as you're not mercury burned. If you got mercury amalgams, you want to avoid alpha lipoic acid because it can chelate the mercury improperly. You want to get the mercury amalgams taken out first. There's no bad ingredients in there, other ingredients. I would give this... There's no iron, there's no copper, so if you react to those minerals, then this might be better than the thorn. But if you don't react to copper, and copper doesn't make you tired because you're not copper toxic, then I'd give the pure encapsulations one probably a B. Give the thorn a B+. Vitamin C is fine to take, Cheesy Puffs, as long as you don't take too much, because it can be an osmotic laxative and give you diarrhea. If you take vitamin C and you get joint pain or joint inflammation or kidney stones, then you have too much cadmium stored up in your body. You have cadmium toxicity. Cadmium toxicity, when you take ascorbic acid and you have cadmium in your body, it converts the ascorbic acid into oxalic acid, which forms oxalates in the body, which can contribute to joint pain and kidney stones. But if you're not having those issues, it's fine to take vitamin C. Vitamin D for the fish oil, you want to get a Rosita cod liver oil or NutriPro cod liver oil. They have natural vitamin A and vitamin D from the cod liver itself. They don't add it in. They don't add anything in. But yeah, that's fine. You probably want to... if you live up in Canada, you want to get a vitamin D lamp, like a Spurdy lamp. You want to save up to get one of those. About $400. They're FDA approved to produce vitamin D and to help with psoriasis. Of course, it's best to get your vitamin D from the sun, obviously, but when you live that far up north, you gotta usually hack. Let's look at the designs for health, and we'll be done for the evening. So we have 2 capsules, vitamin A from palmate and mixed carotenoids. I don't tell you how much is from the palmate, though. Not a lot of vitamin A in there. Ooh. Vitamin K1, but they don't tell you how much. But they do have vitamin K2 as 4 and 7 and 6 and 9. So full spectrum vitamin K. That's a nice vitamin K. They don't tell you what the riboflavin is, so I don't think it's the active form. I don't think it's riboflavin 5-phosphate. Just a real little bit of vitamin B6 in there at 5.2 compared to the other dosages. So if you took 1, it'd be 2.5. It's not bad. Folate instead of folic acid, methylcobalamin, which is good. I have a blog. Look up my vitamin D blog on Fix Your Gut, Cheesy Puffs. It might help. The glycinate chelates. How much manganese? 1 milligram. I mean that. Let's say if you bought a bottle of 120 count for $54. Is there copper in here? No, there's no copper. You could probably get away with taking 1 of these. If you're worried about vitamin B6 toxicity, this is probably better to go than the thorn. I'd say this is a B+. This is a B+, and the thorn's a B+. So if you're a little bit more, you'll get less vitamins in this, and they're not as good as what's in the thorn. But there's less B6. So, yeah, your options are the thorn, the designs for health, and the pure encapsulations. Designs for health and thorn, I'd recommend taking, if I was going to take it myself, 1 a day. And of course, I'm not a medical healthcare professional. I'm not a doctor, someone who's well researched. This is just my advice, as if you were myself or my friends or family. But yes, these are 3 multivitamins that I like. Is there anybody else that has any questions? Oh, that's interesting. Cheesy puffs. Maybe, yeah, that can happen sometimes if the immune system calms down and the anesophilic esophagitis reduces. Oh, you're welcome, Tash. Tash, anytime. Rosaline, I don't trust the gummies. Yeah, I don't trust them either. Most gummy supplements are garbage. Alright, you guys, I hope you found some benefit in this. I've written 2 blogs about multivitamins. I guess I need to update them because Thorne doesn't even recommend the basic nutrients without copper and iron that I used to recommend. I guess I need to update those blogs. I probably will in the next few weeks. Oh, you want me to look at your vitamin C mixable drink? Okay, hold on. It's Emergency from CVS. Yeah, it's I don't even have to look at it. I can tell you it's garbage. But I'll bring it up. Oh yeah. Folic acid, cyanocobalamin, so cheap B12. Hey, at least you use riboflavin 5-phosphate. Corn syrup solids is probably genetically modified from corn syrup. Granted, there shouldn't be any GM left in the corn syrup, but still, I digress. It's probably from a corn syrup source. I mean, a GM source. GM maltodextrin, likely. Yeah, this is garbage. Just buy yourself some cheap vitamin C, some non-GMO vitamin C. Like Doctor's Best vitamin C powder. There's one that comes non-GMO produced from non-GM corn from Scotland. Quali C's right here. Just pick yourself up. Just pick you up some of this pure vitamin C powder from Quali C. $15. 1 scoop. There's 250 scoops in here. Is 1 gram. So you just throw a scoop and a little bit of fruit juice, and it'll last you for 250 days. It'll last you for 250 days. That's if your stomach can take the ascorbic acid, because it is. If you have gastritis or a queasy stomach, you got to use buffered vitamin C. So instead, for buffer vitamin C, I recommend instead that you use sodium ascorbate, and one of the best non-GMO sodium ascorbates there is Nutribiotic. It's from non-GM corn, dextrose fermentation. So yeah, just get yourself some Nutribiotic. If vitamin C causes gastritis or makes you queasy, like it does S90, and just mix that in some juice or some water or something. It won't taste that great if you put it in water. But it's good stuff. I got Nutribiotic in my house, in case the kids ever come down with something, the wife comes down with something, I start loading them up with vitamin C. But I mean, I use this stuff in my family. I ain't gonna recommend it. I'll recommend it to my clients or my friends or my family. I ain't gonna recommend it for you. Using a systemic enzyme serapeptase cheesy puffs. They can work. It can break up scar tissue. The studies are mixed, though. But it can happen. I'm not against the use of systemic enzymes like nattokinase and serapeptase. I know people have used it to reduce inflammation or reduce scar tissue. It didn't work for me for the scar tissue, the scar that I have on my stomach. But I've known it for help other people. But all right, that's it. Actually, if y'all want, I'll open up another stream real quick. If anybody has any questions, we can do a question and answer stream real quick if you guys want to do that. What about the trace mineral vitamin C packets? How about this, Roseline? I'll start another stream, and I'll answer it over there. Okay? I know a lot about trace mineral vitamin C and trace mineral company, so I'll discuss that. So you guys join another stream. Okay? Take care.